These stupid FAs finally got their brains cleared. They shouted out loud, "I understand." And then the guy immediately jumps up. Luggage reminds me of this. You know, it's okay. Don't let the angels know a little bit about nature. Do you understand? The boys shouted, "I understand." And then all 50,000 of them happily pulled away. Unsuspecting aesthetic grain luggage. Think of this trick again. That photographer's name is so shameless. That's it. 50,000 of the fog god soared into the sky. The team is as numerous as ants. They're excited, they're screaming, they're screaming. Transfer, scene photographer here get private. When he finished reading, he said, "Police have sent 50,000 people here. It's redundant to protect the angels." I also agree with you. But I have a little doubt. Why does it have to be single people? Maybe the others. They can't protect the tribe. Or SAO photographer, make the mean face answer. It's because of being single, so that we can be dedicated. They have them protected. The angel will be safe. I was surprised to ask, why is it that being single is all-powerful? Flexible answer stills. In the house of a single person without a hitch, you don't have to worry about anything. Of course, you'll rest assured to work. Stop thinking, baby. The angels are all female disciples. It's like sending a married disciple over there. As if the female disciple by the angel had feelings. It's not going to cause family conflict or SAO. So, we can only send single people. He blushed a little and said that being single is not something we seem to understand. I saw Harry carefully read the letter. Stop watching for a while. And say, suppose, disciple of the angel tones the whole. They are married to the disciples of the Lord. Until then, I'm afraid. Angel yin tone, he will become a servant of God. Does a photographer really need that or not? Muttered the photographer. The angel here doesn't seem to be doing anything. Maybe we should visit a different god. Or not stop. Surprised to ask the photographer, "What are you whispering?" The photographer hastily denied flying, denied nothing. There is nothing we are against. Suddenly, I want to talk to you about something. I was surprised to ask what was going on. The photographer replied, "It's true. I've been studying this before. It's about the dark forest." Stop asking with your eyes wide open. The Black Ghost Forest is the southwest direction of Kwong Wei divided into SAO. Confirmed, yes. In his heart, he thought, in the last life, I went into the Black Forest. It doesn't come back from there. This life, the child has a part of the memory of stopping. Maybe it's something to do with the Black Forest. Maybe a previous life after little fish went into the dark forest. Not to die, but to meet me. Stop asking the forest so far away. I've been through it a few times. The photographer asked her why she went there. Is there anything there? The child shakes his head. We didn't go into the forest. But every time we go there, just hear the sound of something calling me. Every time I get close to the dark forest, we'll all have a very strange feeling. Strangely asked what it felt like. Stop answering. It's like turning into someone else. It seems that a pitiful feeling has happened. In a heart full of sorrow. The photographer stands up now. And then he said, turn into someone else. Why does it feel that way? In my mind, maybe the baby can feel it. Her previous life, SAO. But the previous life of stopping children is SAO. Maybe she has also been summoned by the dark forest. Just walked in there. What was her previous life? Has received a summons from AI. If that's the case, time without fate, This is what makes people think. I don't love reishi letters. How do we finally make ourselves born again? Maybe time is not a kind of structure. Stop asking what the structure is. The photographer replied, there's nothing. There's nothing right. Stop, I want you to see something. The fisherman can ask again. What do you want to see? She replied, take off your clothes. Stop talking about taking off your clothes. The photographer nodded as if he were cutting wood. Stop shaking your head. She replied, but it's a little inappropriate now. The photographer stroked his chin to confirm that's right. Then he went over and closed all the windows and said, the windows are all open. Stop child panic, haha. Photography is really photography. Close the door and look back. Shy nine face. She said it's daytime. Is it not good or not? The photographer said nothing is not good, haha. Are you a stranger to me or something? Stop the shy thinking. Although it was decided soon. This life belongs to photography. But that's too much of a rush. Maybe not after becoming a body. That's right, the person who's engaged to the photographer is dead. Even if it's her, it's her. Even if there is no name. Just be able to be with the photographer. I am also willing to volunteer. The photographer still rolled his eyes to stop writing. The child quietly rolled his eyes up to look. Then the photographer moves forward. Stop your face and close your eyes. Surprised, he asked to stop. What are you doing with your eyes closed? Aesthetic fish pepper? You might even catch me doing this. I have to open my eyes again and then moan. The photographer also realized that it was true. Stop being a girl. This is embarrassing. I see it for myself. And then he goes around, and he stops. Then gently pull down the shirt of the child. He opened his eyes and was ashamed. I can take off the shirt of my father. Stop breathing out. He uses his eyes to stop. Then tucked her hair away. The photographer immediately fluttered. He touched the seal on the back of the baby. Passively touched. Stopped the child's face, shyly crying. The photographer thought she was. The photographer asked if this was her pregnancy sign. The fisherman replied not. The surprised photographer asked, so how does this signature work? Stop answering. This is when my grandfather died. Using the press to bring the page of a period of time. It's not sealed in the seal. Photographer, eyes wide in surprise, asked if fashion SAO. Then he put his hand in his chest and took it out. What is fashion? Not like this. I was surprised to ask why you had it. It's this thing. My ancestors once said that we have a great life. This book is my destiny. It can save a life. The photographer also understood. Ra is like that. Ra is like that. In the past life, I went into the Black Forest. It's her signature. It is also the last page of the Time Without Love. Reishi protection letter for her. But that's also why the appearance is ruined. Wear a mask, change the name to stop. From there, I went to the Long Coot area to meet him. It's this signature. Children can see it sometimes. The illusion of a past life. Until finally I came. Not even a name can give her. I'm so sorry for her. Then the photographer rotates. Stop the baby. The child turns the face, and the breath becomes intense. The photographer called to stop. Then the regent suddenly hugged Nie tightly. Makes her want to breathe. Stopped being surprised for a moment, and whispered the photographer's name. And she accepted that hug. Stop asking the photographer. What does this air pressure mean, specifically, Sao? The photographer replied to the fish, your father was a wise man. We have to hurry. Take a trip back to the world. There's also some secrets that are hard to imagine. And now, the angel draws my sword. He can break the seal of the world. Then we're done here. In a few days we will leave. Stop asking the photographer. So what do we do now? The two of you look at each other and breathe the box. Box. Suddenly, the door opened. They both turned their eyes and looked out the door. It turned out to be IP to Van. She saw. The two of you are hugging each other. The clothes are all scratched. That's the hand of this photographer. Still put on the pedophile. IP to Van also rolled his eyes and looked up. The nine-faced shy child. I've been guilty of countless innocent acts. And then let go of Nie Li and grinned. The nine-faced man said, your face during the day. You keep going. Let's go out first. When you see the light coming out, call Theo to Van. You wait a moment. But the door was closed. Stand outside, said echoing inside. I'll be outside waiting for you. I have something important to tell you. The photographer is grinning right now, haha. Time passes by. The photographer also went out and explained to IP and so on. In the past, I was just. IP Death said in a hurry, I didn't come to you because I wanted to tell you. These things are not finished. Stop, the child also explained. We just took off our clothes. Really didn't do anything. Photographer, I just want to confirm my signature. That's it. IPZ glanced at the photographer and asked, are you looking for an excuse? Is it right to seduce children to stop? The photographer replied, of course, he's too bad. IP died cold and said, I don't think you dare either. We should still talk. The owner is looking for me. I want to negotiate something with you. She's not convenient to come here, so let me get back to you. The photographer looked surprised. You finally want to negotiate with me? What did she say? Ipitsu replied to the South Palace Master, said, our Lord sent many male disciples as. So that seems a little bit off. Laughing out loud, ha 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 ha. The dance god has become ours. Your brother is angry and says you really are. The photographer replied, so what's wrong with the male palace owner? IP Death replied, what she said. The angel of heaven has now become. The photographer pretends to ask what? Ipitsu, shyness, landing box. It's become an eyewitness conference. Since the cheerleader came to us. Even though it's safe for the angels. But privacy is chaos. The owner said, they can let us bind the disciples. No bewildered photographer asks Chaos Sao. What did they do? Yip Tu Van seemed shy to answer the box. Because of your orders. Could not find the object. You can't go back to the gods. So the disciples of the Vu God are really dare to do anything. Last night at midnight, Leo forced 10 people to escape. In the room of the arrested disciple Ra. There are more than 30 people in total. Early this morning, investigation. The girl with a large belly is more than 60 people. No matter how you ask. They all refuse to reveal. Their child is AI's. The photographer pretended to be Ho Khan. You go back and tell the owner that. At first, she agreed. Let the dance god kick us in there. I want to protect the angels. God knows I can do it. If she crosses the drawbridge, then we will absolutely agree. Discontinue Children's Island Shy Barrel. IP asked again. If you have anything to say it quickly. I am in charge. Just send it back to the owner. The photographer thought, the theme of death is here. I'm afraid there are a few words. I can't speak in front of the dead. You look down on your face. And then he goes back and forth in front of the dead. I said it a long time later. Just tell the owner that. It's impossible to tell us to move. Otherwise, the angel will be in danger. What about the arrested students? It is because of our Lord of the Rings. The teacher is not serious. Climbing the wall and getting caught is a bunch of crap. This is also under our control. The teacher is not serious. But climbing the wall is no big deal. I beat them a few sticks to teach them a lesson. What about hiding in the disciples' room? Maybe there's a reason. For example, they received an invitation to go there. Talk about great spiritual practice with the disciples of the angel of heaven. Why are we being arrested? We have to ask. Our dance God. I will not forgive those who have evil intentions. It's absolutely not unfair for any good person. IPZ's face was stupid raw. Didn't he understand what? The photographer said more. What about pregnant girls? They are so pathetic to their children. Even I can't find it. If the angels are strict, I want to kick them out of the classroom. Then we just have to accept them. I pass the word back to the Lord. I hope South Palace owner. Don't force them to the end. This event has revealed a huge problem. Guardian of the angel's shadow. We can let so many people. The main road into the temple. Let the disciple be humiliated. I am the master of the Holy Spirit. When I heard it, I was very angry. Next, I will send many disciples of the Lord of Heaven. Support with angel tone. Protection for the tone. Let the disciples cheer up the gods. And the guardian angel's shadow. Eat together in the orange community. If only one person. Into the courtyard of the angel's shadow. I'll take them out. Time goes by. The southern palace of heaven and earth was angry. The guardians of the angels. They are all female disciples. Want to send male disciples of Vu and Tong. Eat with them too. That doesn't produce new emotions. The guards are all of goddess people. So, the male disciple of the Vu god crashed raw into the angel's shadow. Is not more convenient, or SAO. He really said that. The police officer confirmed that's right, boss. The south bow became empty of words with the photographer. She breathed out a voice he was. IP asked the owner again. Is there anything else you want to talk about? The male fairy replied yes. If you don't want to move, yes. Can so that we can take some of the non-believers somewhere else. Whether or not, IPZ replied to the owner. The photographer has already thought about this. You are a fool to ask. IP2 Van continued. He said now, the man of God's love, are still going to arrest the monk, the disciples of the angels. The power is too weak. Out to believe the opposite is no problem. But if the groups come together and go out, it's easy to fall in love with God. The male sign of the yin. Out a couple of stars. Now, what's the point of a two-name thing? IP2 Van continued, the photographer said, if you have come to the angel of heaven. I can't express a little angel. No matter what you want. That's a great trick. Knit pharmacy. It's even holy medicine this level. The Lord of Heaven can provide unlimited. But these things are only possible in your own person. Surprised, he asked his man, Confirmation is not false. It's the Wu Then disciples who are quite close. The photographer said. Southern Bao Fairy Sound time. This is very much about wanting to know more. IP2 Van continued, the regent said. The angel had a few female disciples. Pretend high bar. He did not see the disciples of the Lord of Heaven. This type of person doesn't he want to go back. The South Bao Fairy Sound crazy people come to smoke. No words spoken. Then angrily told IPZ and so on. It is clear that you are clean. He dared to say, I faked the high. Based on his words. Students as clean as we are. They will be oppressed by them. Other female disciples. The photographer said that there is a secret that is holy medicine. This is not about bringing my angel. Clean Island, or SAO. That's really bullying. I don't think angels are easy to bully. I will summon my disciples to stay with him. IP2 Van continued, the photographer said, the man who had to do that. Dance God Tone and Angel Tone, not the enemy. Wu Than Tong. I just want to protect the angels. Even if it's a disciple, and under the guidance of the angel, what happened? They will always be disciples of the angels. As long as the Lord doesn't send them away. They're not leaving. IP Death is afraid to continue. The so-called yin and yang compatible human world great way, the disciples of the angels. And the male disciple of Wu Than Tong. The two sides like each other. We Don T want to separate them. Southern Palace Master, why do you have to split up? The male sign hesitated to respond. But the angels have the rules and the training. Ipitsu confirmed this answer. The photographer figured it all out. He said what's called a formative discipline. It's just the first. Let's set their preferences. Say not, even if it's just a shallow thought. The process of universal change in history. SAO can let posterity obey as dogma. If you think about it, where is the benefit for angel tones? The genius of the angel is now in ruins. It's already one of the weakest. Love God tone if it's a full-scale war on the religion. The first to die was the angel. If the angels fall and dance, God can be eternal. Let the angels grow. It's not a good thing or something. The photographer said, as long as the angels don't kick you out, the gods will not dig. And what about the first disciples of the Wu, then? It was not long before the angel arrived. It's okay to come back sometimes. After listening to the sound of the southern palace, he bowed helplessly. Silence for a long time. Yeezy Bao Glass continued. The photographer also said, no matter how the owner makes the decision, he will also respect. If the angels fall, they don't really need the protection of the gods. He is content. Send all the disciples of the Lord of Heaven away. Do not disturb the angels. The genie sighed a little. Then ask IPZ and so on, death and so on. You say that I am the Lord of Heaven. How should we do it? IP2 replied to the owner, rest assured. To our understanding of photography. He's a man who doesn't know how to follow the rules. It's also going to do some outrageous things. But there's a certain point. He had a sense of justice for the regent's character. Even if the dose, whole life, it will also protect you from the angels. I was surprised to ask why he said that. He was silent for a moment and then answered. The place where we were born is called Quang Wei Kai City. Every year there will be an attack of love. It can be destroyed at any time. Then we'll find out. It's our world. Not through, it's just part of the Dragon Kingdom. In this world, the people and the patriots fight endlessly. Ever since, he uses every trick, even actions that are against conscience, just to protect the city. For Quang Wei Kai City, we can throw away life and death, because that's where we grew up. It is our home. I don't know, Tone Master, can we understand our feelings or not? The genie sighed and said I understood a little. But the angel's tone, it's not Quang Wei Kai City. His owner. IP2 reminded the cardinal according to reason. Holy potion in the hands of the regent. If you hide yourself. Only for students of Wu than Tien to use. Not 215. The distance between the gods and the gods. It must be a different world. Especially the transformation of Quang fake martial tone. Maybe the owner knows better. But the photographer is content. Bring a piece of holy medicine. Take out for the Taoist use. It's all because the regents want to bring the 6 major religions. Become stronger. Let's all work together. Against the occult of magic. It's because people do so many things. Maybe the South Palace owner. Doubt about the power of the photographer. Or Sao Southern Palace Fairy Yin replied to the dead, and so misunderstood. I am not a doubter of the master's mind. Just had some thoughts with him. It feels a little disgruntled. If God's love comes. IP asked again. The owner felt the same. With the current power of the angel. You can safely drive the enemy away or not. Angel tone if not like before. I will die instead of waiting to die. Sao didn't make a few changes. Male bow fairies poopy face raw aesthetic. Now the situation is forced. There's no other choice. Whether it's really because of the angels. But this method, it makes others unhappy. You can only blame yourself for being weak. I can only accept that. So she wiped her hands and said to IP to Van. Take my word back to the Lord. Angel Yin tone, welcome of course to the Holy Spirit. It's just a dance. Don't do too much. I don't think anything happened either. IPZ happily replied yes. I will definitely take the Lord's word. Talk back to the photographer. The genie asked again. Whose side are you the heir to? Turn the scene on the photographer's side. An electric lightning rod struck down. Snap claw. The angel's sword is still drawn. And it's really scary. These 10,000 swords look like they have no power. But the angel still drew the sword after absorbing it. The breath contained within too. Even we're amazed. I don't know the full force. The angel's sword will have brain power. Right now, he went to the back of the room and asked. The owner agreed with Sao. I looked up in surprise and asked him how he knew. The photographer replied casually, the so-called situation is stronger than people. The owner is not a fool. If it really ends with the magic, the basic consequences, it's not that she can carry it. So it's clear that we're forcing her. She won't refuse either. IP asked again. Missed as the owner. She's really a dead fish. She glanced at him and said, you can only change one owner. Angel tone is definitely there. Many people are also interested in the position of the owner. Based on holy medicine, whether it's power or relationships, they can all deploy out. IP said in amazement. It's better if this district regent still shouldn't do it. The photographer replied, God will purify the whole world. Angel Yin tone, you can't just worry about your body. Instead of a normal leader. Take by angel tone. Destroy Kai by letting go to take a risk. Yi Zi and Ra also breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the owner agreed. Then now, the danger of angel tones has been eliminated. If we go back to the Lord of Heaven, the Lord answered no. There's not that much time left. Now there is an angel with a sword. We can immediately summon and stop the swordsman. They're going back to the small world. Ipitsu said with his eyes wide open. I turned around to see the sad face of IP. Don't worry about death, don't worry. We will find a way to save lives. Master's music. IPZ agreed. I believe you. The two hugged each other tightly. Move the scene inside the angel tone. The banquet tables are laid out. Big-faced hands. Eat on the momentary sitting of the angel who came. Southern Bao Fairy Yin. There's a whole sky of talk right now. I see the southern sign like that. An old man asked the owner. I don't know if you're calling us today. Is there anything wrong? The male organ replied to the great elder. It's not even because of Kier, Sao. The old man was surprised to ask the Lord of the Rings. The male Bao Fairy said angrily. Their photographer now really watches the sky. In the dark, we are the queen. Today, I summoned the chief of the gods to come here. Let that man abstain, the great elder replied. The Lord is close to us. For the angels to say, it's not that bad. Now the power of the angel. With the help of the holy potion. Not just double. Now there is a guard. We are also safer. The old man glanced at the old man. And say, don't assume we don't know. You get a lot of benefits from the Kier. Next, do you want to be this boss too? Right? The elder glanced back and sincerely said. The owner is heavy. I and the master are born. You don't believe me or Sao. Please, Master Min. It's not alone. I received the benefit of the Holy Spirit. Everybody got it, boss. You didn't get it too. Southern Bao Fairy sound finished hard mother's throat. In my mind, only blame the photographer for being too active. Unconscious in the world of the angels. It's all broken. I don't know what's inside the angel. How many people Dante listen? The man of God. Suddenly, there was an announcement. The regent is here. Then all the dignitaries in the sect stand up at the same time, should pick up the photographer. The photographer goes first, and IP died and died happily after. The photographer glanced at something. Then he respectfully clasped his hands in front of his chest. The ceremony of the young son to see the southern palace of the cardinal. The male archer was angry and cold without saying anything. I saw that and laughed, ha ha ha. The boss is still angry about the previous Sao. The Lord replied, you know yourself. The photographer grinned and replied, ha ha. To apologize to the ancestors of the angel of heaven. I have specially prepared a few gifts to bring to the ancestors of the angels. After listening, the elders were all stupid. The photographer is done. He took out a shiny medicine wicker held in his hand. He's advertising this as the new long inflammation delta study. This is the most powerful medicine right now. It's 10 times higher than normal medicine. There is only martial arts can withstand its medicinal power. It takes a whole year to train. Normal martial arts masters just need to train it. Then you can directly enter the martial tone 8. That fake strength martial tone 8 same use. Say not. You can directly enter the 9 heavens. This time I'm going to give you one. But remember it. Long inflammation it, this cannot be divided out eat, if there's no problem. I can't guarantee it either. Great Elder, a few gifts here. It's not just one or two. Photographer put long inflammation, knit down the table, then push out the stripping. The South Bow couldn't resist, glancing through the eyes, and then she said, "This long knit inflammation has only one tablet. The angel has 7 elders. You said we should split up." The photographer pretended to laugh back. "This long knitting inflammation is extremely valuable. It's not easy to have one." The old man reminded the South Palace. "That's so strong." "Of course, it is very rare, Master. Do not neglect the kindness of the Lord." South Bow. He hesitated and looked back at the dragon ball. She thought to herself, this class of treasures is reasonable not to accept. But if you take it, let's use AI here. I used it myself. How will others look at me? If you let others use it, the year after the angel, there will be a new 8-star fighter. At that time, my boss's position. I'm not sure that keeping this photographer was intentional. Then the Southern Palace fairy told the photographer, "Then thank you, Master." Then she, with her hands, pulled the knitting box towards me. If you look at this, AI must also admire. Male Bow Fairy records knitting medicine back into the sleeve. Great Elder, of course, it's just a small appetite. Then sigh. A sound of announcement came out. God of Heaven. Master came. Harry looked to the side. I saw some people coming in the back. The Master is a sword that has not been seen for many years. There is also a demand for girls with photographers. The sword glanced at the photographer. The women of the angels saw the sword, but panicked and panicked. This person is a human being he's never met. The atmosphere on his body is strong. It seems to be on a par with the owner. The sword came forward. This makes the Southern Palace a little nervous. She thought to herself, even though this person's VI have not yet entered the martial arts world, but the breath of his mind. It's not under me. If this person reaches the martial arts world, how bad will his power be? The sword continues to move forward. When passing by the Master, make this guy take a look. Li also saw the sword coming in front of him. The face is serious. And then the two of them just looked at each other. Not say anything for a while. Some of the angels talked to each other. You two seem to have each other. It's not hard to say if there's a problem. A person who is the ultimate genius of the godless. One is the young master of the Vu god. These two are famous people. In the young, it is normal for both sides to have a little contact. Suddenly, the sword knelt down, then pay homage to the regent and call the Master. After listening to the Master of the God of Wonder, ask the owner what he said. The male Bow Fairy is covered in sweat. The others huddled together. Asked such an excellent gifted sword. Maybe where is no one knows. In the rankings of the disciples of the great gods. Is first class, totally worth it. On the one hand, he can stay for a very short time, from a new practitioner, to the top of the wind. On the other hand, the power that he showed, as far as the long shot, directly forced martial arts scene too, even the master of the immortals. Everyone is friendly with him. He called the photographer the SAO owner. Here, she patted the shoulder and praised the NDTO sword. You have trained to the golden dragon. Although it has not yet reached the level of invincibility, Kim. But dealing with normal martial arts masters, it's also redundant, waiting for you to break through. Even if it comes to people.